Hailing from the great cold state of Alaska, I am the Frozen Gamer, and tonight I want to talk to you guys about why it is that I actually think 2018 has so far been the best gaming year I've had in a really long time. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are going to think I'm kind of crazy, because the reality is that there haven't been a lot of huge releases so far. And even really big ones like God of War for PS4, I haven't actually played. However, there are some things that I really think have made this year better. And honestly, it is the lack of releases. That has been the most surprising thing to me that has actually made this year better for me, because I've had a lot more time to play a lot more games. I've been able to actually clear some things from my backlog and make time for games that, at least last year, I didn't have time to finish, or even more so, games that I just straight up didn't have time to play. One of the biggest games that I've had a chance to play this year is Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, last year I had completely skipped it because it came out end of February, just before the Switch came out and Zelda Breath of the Wild. I knew I wasn't going to be able to give the game the time it deserved, and I just knew that between that and Zelda was one I was far more interested in. Then on top of that, I ended up moving, and that was really about a month-long process between everything that I had going on with work and getting stuff packed and just everything associated with moving. And so I just knew that Horizon Zero Dawn was a game that I just wasn't going to have time to touch. But I finally decided to pick it up earlier this year, and it was before they had any major sales, but I was able to get the complete edition for $30. And I have to say that I am completely happy that I waited, because I was really able to invest the amount of time in the game that I wanted to invest. I mean, it's there's so much that I could say about the game. I'm not going to get too much into everything I loved about it, because I'm going to do that in a separate video, as well as also doing one where I compare and contrast Horizon Zero Dawn with Zelda Breath of the Wild. But I still think that it was truly an excellent game. It's one I think I probably put around 60, 70 hours into it, and I got the Platinum Trophy, which says a lot, because I'm not someone who goes after Platinum Trophies in general, unless I really, really enjoy a game, or if it's just an easy Platinum. In the case of Horizon Zero Dawn, it was pretty much both. But apart from that, the only other Platinum Trophy I had prior to that was for Sly Cooper, the original one on Vita. And I mean, of course, that one was extremely easy to get. I mean, it was laughably easy. And if it wasn't for the fact that I haven't finished the second Sly Cooper, let alone the third, I'd probably have platinums for those as well. But even so, Horizon Zero Dawn was a game that I really thoroughly enjoyed. I got a lot of time to spend on it, to devote to it, and the fact that there weren't any big releases, especially on Switch, during the first 6 months, that is, for me personally, games that I didn't already own, like the Bayonetta games, which I enjoyed a lot on Wii U, but not so much that I felt like I needed to buy them a second time. So Horizon Zero Dawn, I had a lot of time to really get into it and to get my money's worth. Now, what I didn't do is I didn't actually get all the trophies related to Frozen Wilds. I did not do New Game Plus. I think someday I'll probably go back and do those things, but I mean, I did go through the story of Frozen Wilds and a handful of the trophies and all that, but the Platinum actually, because it was determined before Frozen Wilds or New Game Plus became available to play, it doesn't require doing either of those, and so it was actually a really easy Platinum to get overall. And yeah, in the end, I really feel like it was a great game. But then there was also some games in my backlog that I finally had a chance to get to. One of those was Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, and I had pretty much actively avoided Assassin's Creed. Well, I guess that's maybe not entirely accurate. I bought Assassin's Creed 3 and 4 on Wii U, both around the times that they came out. So, I mean, sometime after, when they were both cheap in different situations. But I never felt like I could jump into Assassin's Creed 3 or Assassin's Creed 4 because Assassin's Creed 3 just, it was not clicking for me at all. I mean, I tried multiple times and it just was not working for me. But at one point, Assassin's Creed 4 was free on PC, and that was earlier this year. And I just decided I'd go ahead and give it a shot, especially because one of my friends was really into the series. And I'm so glad I did. I mean, I have no idea how the game runs on Wii U. I still have my copy, haven't tried it yet. But once I did some tweaking to some settings and that sort of thing, I was able to get the game running at 60 frames per second, which really makes a big difference in that kind of game, and I absolutely loved it. It was, without question, one of the best games I've played this year, and it's one that I just feel like I wouldn't have had the opportunity to really give it any time if it wasn't for the fact that there just weren't a lot of releases. On top of that, I got Super Mario Odyssey day after Christmas, actually, or a couple days after, I can't remember. But I got it right around Christmas time, and so I didn't really get to play it much last year, and I played it mostly this year. And I still haven't done everything in the game. I mean, I beat the story and I think I have around like 650 of the moons. But got frustrated with some of them, so I just never did everything. But it was still really nice because I think it's a great game. It's really fun, really beautiful. I'm a bit disappointed with the way that they made it so that handheld mode is not as easy to work with, at least as far as doing certain moves. I found, especially with the homing for Cappy and some of the other related Cappy moves, are near impossible to do unless you're doing it either in tabletop mode at the very least or in TV mode. And yeah, but it was still a really great game, and I will probably end up jumping back into it at some point. It's just I'm not ready for it yet. I feel like I got enough out of the game to where I'm satisfied with it, but at the same time, I'm not ready to do more because I just feel like there are certain challenges I have to get past before I'd be ready to really move forward and get all the rest of the moons. And another game that I had a chance to play this year finally was SteamWorld Heist. I really, really love SteamWorld Dig, the original one. In fact, I probably played that one like 4 times, I want to say, all the way through. But either way, regardless of how many times I've played through it, it's one of my favorite indie games, and since I had some money that I could spend after Christmas, I went ahead and bought both SteamWorld Dig and SteamWorld Dig, SteamWorld Dig and SteamWorld Heist, because I already had SteamWorld Dig 2 from last year, which I had beaten last year. And, well, I will say Heist wasn't as good to me as the other 2 games are. I mean, I like Dig and Dig 2 far, far more than Heist. It was still a really good game, and I'm still glad I finally got a chance to play it. Another game I finally got a chance to play was Kingdom Hearts 3D. That is Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. I decided to play it on 3DS rather than PS4, mostly because I kind of just wanted to play it in its original form, and furthermore, I also wanted to have something that I could just play portably. And while I wouldn't say it was like the greatest game or anything, I still really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it, and I did not even come close to 100%ing that game. Honestly, I just don't want to bother with some of the headaches related to that. It's not worth it in my mind. But it was still one that I really wanted to actually play through before Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, because it's the only one, apart from the little prologue thing that comes with the 2.8 remix or whatever it is on PS4. It was the only one I hadn't played, and so I just really, really wanted to play it. and had been putting it off for years. I had once borrowed a friend's copy and played a little bit, and I think I only got through 1 or 2 worlds with both Sora and Riku before I had stopped playing, and I just never got back to it. And so I finally decided to just go ahead and buy it, after talking with a friend who's also into Kingdom Hearts, and decided it was worth investing the time in, and I'm really glad I did. Another game I got a chance to play was Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. And this is one that has been on my PC for a while. I got it, at least 2, maybe 3 years ago. And I just hadn't gotten around to it. I mean, like, I had played a tiny bit at one point, around the time I first got it, but I just never really made any progress. And this is another one I had been talking to a friend about it who was playing it currently, or at least playing it at the time, and decided, okay, I think I want to give this game a shot. And then on top of that, my wife and I decided to watch through the Lord of the Rings movies again, all the extended versions, and it just really kind of lit the fire under me wanting to play that game. So I finally got a chance to play that, 100%ed it, at least as far as the main campaign goes and everything with all the collectibles and whatnot. The only thing I didn't do was some of the DLC, the optional DLC stuff. Partially just because I wanted to play Shadow of War, which is another game that I ended up starting, at least. I have not gotten super far into it, and I've put maybe 10 hours into it so far, if that, and have barely done any story. I've mostly been doing side stuff, as it's easier to listen to podcasts and things like that while doing it. But it's been a game that I've been really happy that I decided to give a shot. Both of those games together, and it just felt really good this year to actually be able to give these games the time they deserve. To not be rushing through anything, not be desperately trying to finish, one game before another game comes out. In fact, I was playing Shadow of Mordor at the same time that I had started it just before Octopath Traveler came out, and was playing it as I was playing Octopath Traveler, which I finished. Let's see here. I finished Octopath, or basically finished it. I haven't done the secret dungeon at the end yet. I have to grind for that, but I did get a chance to do. I mean, I finished up Shadow of Mordor, and then started playing Octopath Traveler, or was continuing to play Octopath Traveler through that, finished up the story probably about a week and a half ago, and then have since then I've just had a chance to check out some more things. But Octopath Traveler is a game that I have thoroughly enjoyed. I mean, I can't say it's a perfect game by any stretch. It's definitely got some flaws. The stories are not the best I've seen by any means. I feel like while I appreciate what they were trying to do by having 8 separate stories that don't really interact, apart from some side conversations that happen starting with Chapter 2, which are completely optional and also missable, depending on who you have in your party at the time. It's not something where I feel like it's to the same level as other RPGs. But despite that, I still really loved the game. The music is amazing. I mean, it's easily one of my favorite soundtracks ever. I think actually it might even end up becoming one of my favorite soundtracks ever of all time. And I just can't get enough of it. Now, I am going to eventually jump back in and do some more grinding so that I can actually go and do that secret dungeon, because I really, really would like to get the true ending to the story, but I'm just not to that point yet. I'm not quite ready for it. And even with all of that, I still think that there's more to do. I'd like to do the rest of the side quests as well. I feel like that game deserves more time and more love. And it's just a matter of making the time for it. But something I did decide to do is I jumped back into Final Fantasy XII. And I know that I'd done a poll a while back asking which game I should go into, and Titanfall 2 was the one that was voted as the main one. And I decided not to start that initially because I wanted to play Shadow of War. And then I went with the second choice of Final Fantasy XII because I had already done the majority of the game. Basically, I was just working towards the Platinum Trophy, and I was motivated, which I hadn't been in a long time. I mean, before I started back up, my last save was sometime late November of last year, and I just really wanted to... I mean, since I was motivated to actually go back and do the rest of what I needed to do in order to complete the game and get the Platinum Trophy and everything, I just decided it was time. I was ready, and that required completing the bestiary, which was a bit tedious, but once I actually made up a list of all the different monsters I needed to find, it was easier. Then there was also... I needed to beat the last hunt, which is against Yasmet, who has 50 million HP and is a big old pain in the butt. But I didn't think I would be ready to fight him unless I got my characters up to level 99 first, so I had to do that, get them all grinded up to level 99. And then once I got them grinded up to level 99, I went into trial mode because I hadn't touched that yet, and basically went up through like level 85 in trial mode before I stopped. Actually, no, that's wrong. I actually went all the way up through level 90, I believe, in trial mode, and then I stopped there. Most of those fights, the vast majority of them, I had like zero issues with because I was so over leveled. But I stopped at level 90 because I wanted to make sure I got there. I stopped there before I went into the fight with Yasmet because I wanted to beat him at his best before fighting in trial mode, where he's got like less than a tenth of his HP. Because instead of having 50 million in trial mode, he has less than 4 million. So he's considerably easier there, but I decided to just go ahead and get the strong version beat first, so that way I could just, I'd get the trophy, I'd be satisfied, because it's one of the only challenges that I never completed on the original Final Fantasy XII, and so I beat him, then I went back to trial mode, finished that out, which that last fight, well, I should say, first of all, beating Yasmet in trial mode is so much easier because of how little HP he has comparatively. I mean, I basically just used the same strategy I used for the last chunk of the fight against the 50 million HP version, and just beat him down pretty quickly in trial mode, but then finished out trial mode completely, with the last bosses being one of the bigger pains in the butt that I had to deal with, at least until I beat one of the first of the guys that's in that last trial, because once you beat him, then the rest of them are not nearly as effective, and it's a lot easier to knock them off one by one. But anyway, so finished up trial mode, and all I had left to do was go to the final dungeon of the game, which I was like probably about 40-50 levels above what I needed to be at, and just finish it out. And then as soon as the ending cutscene was going, popped the last trophy related to that, and then the very last trophy, which was the Platinum. So anyway, I've gone on long enough about Final Fantasy XII. I'll be talking more thoroughly about it later. I'm hoping to write out an actual review and talking about my journey with the Platinum Trophy, because I do think that it was really worth the effort. For me personally. I mean, it was a personal thing. I don't think it will be worth the effort for everyone, but for me, it was worth it. And, apart from that, other games, well, I did Life is Strange this year, and that was just one that I was playing in between games. I think I was waiting on Horizon Zero Dawn to arrive, and so I plowed through Life is Strange, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't, it's not gameplay heavy by any stretch, but it had a really interesting story, and I enjoyed it for the most part. I'm trying to think of what else I've done this year. That might actually be it, apart from doing, like, the Destiny 2 expansions and things like that, where they're less of a big deal. Oh, I did do Yooka-laylee on Switch. I haven't finished it. I did the majority of it, but some of the pages are a real pain in the butt to get, and getting to the stage 4 boss, because of the minecart thing, it's such a huge pain in the butt. I haven't been motivated to go back and try to do that yet, so eventually I'll get back to it and do the rest of the game, because I do enjoy it for the most part. It's just certain things are frustrating about it, but all of that long thing to say that for me, 2018 has been a great year for games. It's given me really a different perspective too, because last year especially, I really felt pressured to buy so many of the Switch games, and I mean, there's some of them I just ended up, I didn't quite come to the point until towards the end of the year that I decided to stop trying to keep up, because I just knew I couldn't. But this year has really given me a chance to catch up a little bit, and my backlog is still embarrassingly long. I mean, it's not something that I'm expecting to complete in any decent length of time, but I do feel like this has really been a good chance for me to actually catch up a bit and to enjoy some of these old games that I bought previously and just never got around to, or put off because I was playing something else, regardless of what the reason was. The fact is that right now I feel like I'm in a better position now than I've been in a long time with games, and the sparser release schedule, especially with Nintendo, has really, really helped with that. I even have, I haven't fully decided what games I'm actually going to be buying for the rest of the year. At this point, the only ones I know for sure I'm getting are Super Mario Party and Smash Bros. Ultimate. And assuming it still comes out this year, Luigi's Mansion 3D. But, and I guess I have pre-order already paid for Destiny 2 Forsaken, which I'm definitely going to be, that's going to be like my September game, pretty much the only thing I play during that time. But yeah, it's been the year I've needed, and it's helped me to gain more appreciation for what I have, and I know that going forward I'm going to try to keep up this trend of typically playing something, both something from my backlog and something new at the same time, or going back and forth between the two depending on what I'm playing. But I like having the option to to play two different games at the same time, because that way it's easier to actually knock things out. And while you might think, oh well, it wouldn't make more sense to just play through a single game until you've completed it, I would say yes to some degree, but at the same time, since I do quite a bit of PC gaming especially, or even just play games that I don't really feel are appropriate for my kids to be watching because they're young and some things can be scary to them. They're 2 and 1, or well, coming up on 3 and 1-year-old. I just can't play everything in front of my kids, and so some things I pretty much have to wait until they're asleep, so that basically leaves me with evenings during the week and evenings and nap time during the weekend. So I basically just try to get in as much game time as I can here and there, and just see what I can accomplish with my gaming this year. And I think that by the end of the year, well, I know that by the end of this month, I would like to be completely finished with Shadow of War, and maybe with Octopath Traveler. I'm not positive about that one, just because that one's a little more tricky, since it's since I really do have to take some time to grind before I'm going to be ready for that final dungeon, for that final optional dungeon, secret dungeon. But I really truly believe that this has been the kind of year I've needed, and I'm looking forward to what else is coming too. There's so much left for us to see. I really think that whenever Nintendo does their next Direct, even if it's an Indies Direct, it's still going to give some exciting stuff to play, and then their next real Direct with all of their first-party stuff and everything, that's going to be the biggest thing of all, especially because I'm sure that we'll see some, not only what else is coming out this year, but what's coming out next year, some of the things coming out next year. So, lots to look forward to, lots to be thankful for. At this point, I'm just glad that I have had this time, because it's exactly what I needed. So until next time, this has been The Frozen Gamer, and I'll talk to you later. Take care.